Welcome to another video. This one is going to be about repeating information in game, and specifically for organized team play and making sure the timings are correct and so on. In the video about making plans in game, you learned how to come up with your own plans and communicating them. If you're on the receiving end of that and you're the one hearing the plans, etc., you want to do your best to solidify them and help get the team's attention on whatever plan that was called out. And you can do this simply by repeating a simplified version of the first few objectives in the plan. And imagine that, for example, we're playing tanks on Lijiang Night Market, and we know that in order to make the composition work, we want to fight on point. So maybe there's a plan from the shot caller to fight on point, move to point, etc. Now, if you would repeat a simplified version of this, you would say fight together or stay together. And by saying that, you automatically reinforce the requirements of making the most of the composition. This would also mean that in order to make this work, you need to know what the strengths and weaknesses are. But if you're scrimming with a team on a regular basis, you should be studying your own strategies. You should be able to know what your teammates' roles are supposed to do, not in great details, but you should know the overall objectives tank has, a main tank, flex tank, projectile and hit scan, etc. You don't want to spit out, at the same time, you don't want to spit out some information that's useless to the teaming game. For example, if you're playing the tanks on Night Market and you're a healer and the enemy has a tracer that's coming to you, you don't want to shift everyone's focus and attention from holding chokes and fighting together in the front line to caring about the tracer and forgetting about the enemy front line, etc. Because if you end up sending 4 or 5 people focusing on the tracer, you basically lose every choke. And if you lose the chokes as tanks, you basically lose the control on point, and if you lose the control, you have lost the team fight automatically. If you look at the scoreboard from time to time, maybe when you're respawning or when you're running from spawn to choke, you have plenty of time to look at what the compositions are, enemy and teammates. And you can figure out quickly if you need to fight a 6 or fight on squads like in Dive, for example. There's also times where you want to repeat information to shift attention for someone else in the team, but it's your own information. If you're playing Orisa and you have a teammate that's playing Hog and you want to combo Orb plus Hook, as Orisa, you'd count down your orb and say maybe orbing in 3, 2, 1 now, and then shoot your orb on 1, and then comes your Roadhog, he hooks. And next time you do it, you still want to count down. You still want to do it the same way, because if your Roadhog has used his hook without you having found an opportunity to use orb, if you don't count down and you just say orbing now, and your Roadhog doesn't have his orb, well, then it's your fault for wasting an orb without thinking about, if your teammate might have cooldown or might not have the cooldown. Because if you still count down orbing in 3, 2, 1, by 3 or by 2 or by 1, the Roadhog will have enough time to say, I don't have hook, and cancel the plan. It's not a one-way communication, if you understand. It's both persons' fault, if a combo gets messed up. But if you're the one starting a combo, let's say that you're playing Ana Genji and you want a Nano Blade. If you're Genji and you are not in position, maybe you have to walk a little before you dash and blade or something, and what you can do is say blading in 5 Ana, and that lets the Ana know that she's responsible for the attention. And in 5 also means that, okay, it's gonna be a bit of time, and you don't really have to count down 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, because that's a lot of noise for everyone else in the comms. And before you blade, you just say blading now, and if the Ana hasn't been in position, or if the Ana doesn't find you, or if the Ana doesn't have nano ready, etc., it's her responsibility to cancel the blade within that time, basically, before you blade and after, while counting down. But for example, if you're in position as Genji and you don't have to run anything and you have blade ready, etc., you still want to count down. You say blading in 3, 2, 1, blading now, and maybe not that fast, but you still want to count down, because if your Ana doesn't find you, doesn't see you, doesn't have nano ready, is too busy doing something else, or is like in spawn, who knows, she can cancel your blade by telling you I don't have nano, or I can't nano, and then you don't end up wasting a blade without nano or without anything to support it. Maybe you can save it by using a beat or transalt, etc., but that's more on the fly adaptation. And if you would end up wasting the blade there, the Ana might as well use nano on a Winston or D.Va or something else, and it sets everything out of sync, if you know what I mean. Ana will have enough time to cancel your blade. Anyone has enough time to listen, focused attention, and decide something within 5 or 3 seconds. If you're the Ana in this case, all you need to say to repeat yourself and making sure that the Genji knows that he can proceed is say nano ready, and if you want to add his hero name, you just say nano ready Genji. It's useful in case you multiple different heroes in the same match. Ability combos that requires more than one player to execute is requiring more work than just pressing a couple of buttons. If we look at another example of when you need to repeat yourself is, let's say that you're playing Sombra or Tracer and you're flanking, and maybe you've said that you're gonna flank once or twice before you actually start the flank. When you get in position, you want to say I'm in position, or you say I'm ready, etc., because you're not going to engage the fight as a DPS behind everyone and then the tanks come in, because if you do that, you're going to die instantly, or you're going to have to use relocate or recall, etc. Maybe you got to use all 3 blinks and you can't get back in the fight, or maybe the enemy team repositions and falls back really quickly, and then the front line in your team doesn't have the chance to jump or run into them, etc. anymore. So to sum it up, you want to repeat information. You want to repeat what other people say that's important to think about. If you notice that someone's attentions is, if the team's attention isn't tuned in on plans, just repeat the plan and help your teammate, transmit messages. If you want to do a grab dragon, repeat that you're going to do a grab dragon. And you want to help the team work together, regardless of what role you have, regardless of what rank you have in the team. You don't have to be the shot caller to do this. You don't have to be the main tank to do this. You can do this on DPS, you can do this on healer, and any role basically. It's the number one thing you want to do when you want to work with timings, and it'll help you get kills with Ana. Ana, when you've slept someone, it'll help you play safe as Doomfist if you go too deep, or it's gonna help you play like Reinhardt if you want to go deep, and if you want to swing, and it's gonna help everyone basically if you just repeat more information.